Frankie from Flatbush rides the Brooklyn line. Got a swagger sharp like a vintage wine. Everybody knows his name from porch to stoop. Hustling dreams in every loop. In the park he studs, hits the handball wall. Echoes hear the stories when the shadows fall. Got 1,000 tales and a comforting grin on the streets of Flatbush where legends begin. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near. He's got the rhythm, everybody cheers. Corner talks and sidewalk chalks his fame. In the Flatbush breeze you'll hear his name. Underneath the subway hum, the magic's real. Frankie's moves got that electric feel. From Atlantic Avenue to the urban hill, Flatbush Frankie's giving you a thrill. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the
All right, all right, all right. It is March the 31st. It is Monday. It's a Monday News Live. We got plenty of news to take care of. It's March the 31st. It's 18:02 hours here on the East Coast of America. Let me know in the chat if you can see and hear me okay. We got to always check our equipment because you never know what's going to go wrong. So we got a microphone going on here through which you can hear my voice. But what about the bell? Can you hear the bell? That's something else we got to take care of. So let me know in the chat. Let me know, Sean. Let me know, Phil. Phil Adams is here. The great Phil Adams. And the great Sean McAteer is here. Sean was here first. He said, "Hi, Frankie," and waved at me. Can't do better than that. And we can get the bell. All right, so sometimes you can get the bell and sometimes you can't. Bill Adams is here. The more I listen to AG, the more I like him. Yeah, we're going to talk about AG. We got press conferences. We got owners' meetings. We got all kind of stuff going on. But I think we should start out the program with a little prediction. And it's a prediction based on some photographs, some images, some video even, from a little workout. You might have seen it. It was occurring over in California. And the people working out together were named DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers. And it seems to me it's getting closer and closer to Steeler time for Mr. Rodgers. Well, what does that have to do with the Jets, you may be asking? Well, let's take a look, shall we? Doobie-doobie-doo. Let's look at our opponents for the upcoming year. This is who we will be playing next year. Notice anyone on the on the slate that we might have to play, that Aaron Rodgers might have to play for? No, we got it right here. MetLife Stadium. Dun, 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 dun. Pittsburgh Steelers. Lazard was not out there. Lazard is under contract to the New York Jets currently, and if the Pittsburgh Steelers want him, they're going to have to give up a pickety pick to get him, Phil Adams. But look at these opponents. So now the Steelers are on our home schedule for next year. So don't you think the schedule makers are going to look at this and go, oh my God, Aaron Rodgers returns to MetLife, the location where he broke his Achilles and had a disappointing season after that. But now he's on the vaunted and amazing historic team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're going to come right into MetLife Stadium. It's going to be a big story. And I think week one, Pittsburgh Steelers, New York Jets, Sunday night football. I think it's going to be the Sunday night game. I'm predicting we're going to get one primetime game, and that's what it's going to be. The Aaron Rodgers revenge game. He didn't like the way it ended up with the Jets. The Jets fired his head coach. They fired his general manager. They, it didn't go according to Hoyle. He was fighting with Garrett Wilson. He was pushing Robert Saleh on the sideline. And now he's going to maybe be with the Steelers. I'm predicting he will be with the Steelers. We haven't seen that news just yet, but based on the video and the pictures that we did see of him working out with DK Metcalf, he'd had a 6-hour meeting. Seems like he's going to be with the Steelers. And so get ready. Gird your loins. Week one, Sunday night football. Aaron Rodgers comes to MetLife to take revenge on his former team, the New York Jets. So that's what I'm predicting for that one. What do you guys think about that? Aaron Rodgers, if he comes back, he has a revenge game right off the bat with us. And we know how the schedule makers feel about Mr. Rodgers. They really like him, as we all know. So we could be looking at that. Week one, Aaron Rodgers comes back to New York. Jimmy Jets is here. The great Jimmy Jets. Good to see Jimmy. Yeah, I heard the bell, he says. Well, it's always good to have extra bell effects. Afternoon to Mr. Sluggo. Good to see you, sir. All right, so let's take a look at this docket. I guess you guys don't have much to say about Aaron Rodgers' return revenge game against the New York Jets in primetime Sunday night football. Steelers, Jets, Sunday night, week one. Oh, boy. And then Rodgers will come in and throw for 500 frickin' yards. Man. So, yeah. Now, let's go to the docket, I guess. We got some topics for this is Monday News Live. So this is the Frankie Sports Programming Network, FSPN. So you got to have a docket, right? You got to know what you're going to talk about. Well, AG and Mougey pressers from West Palm Beach. So let's go to the Frankie account on X. I put this out. One of the things that AG said that got picked up by the press was all of this, some of this language about moving in silence. Some of the beat reporters were asking him about, was this an intentional thing? That we're not making a lot of noise, we're not making a lot of splash signings. And he said, yeah, we're going to move in silence. And they were kind of picking that up. And so that reminded me of a song. So then I put this out. 8 hours ago. And this is the song here. It's from Bad Meets Evil. It's Royce the 5'9" and Eminem. And it's a song called Writer's Block. And the lyrics are, aren't you tired? Why are you so loud? Shh, quiet. Real dudes move in silence like a mute driving a new hybrid. You dudes is too excited. You a dude that'd try to sue a dude that's suicidal. That's incredible lyricism from Royce the 5'9". But I think that's kind of what AG was getting at. But then, after that, shortly at 40 minutes after I posted this, Antoine Staley put out a tweet of another rapper that makes a similar kind of a analogy, saying that he wants to be a G that moves in silence, like the G in lasagna. Now that's a great lyric. As we all know, there's a silent G in lasagna, and G is short for gangsta in hip hop culture because I know all about the hip hop. And so that's also a great line. But I think I started it. I put this up first. I think somehow Antoine Staley saw this and he was like, well, and he's probably thinking to himself, well, there's another rap song that has a similar, and he put that out. This goes to show how everybody stealing off of Frankie. But the idea, though, that we're not going to be in the press talking about receipts, and we're not going to be in the press talking about how we're going to see them again, the Bills, after we play them the second time in the season, meaning we're going to get to the playoffs and meet them. No, we're not, Mr. Sala. We're not going to be, braggadocio, braggadocious in the media. We can have our confidence, but we're going to be moving in silence. It also reminded me of, the quiet professionals. If you know anything about the military, you know that there's some elite soldiers, elite military folks who call themselves the quiet professionals. They don't make a big deal out of it. They just come in, do the job, and leave and go home. Okay? And then everything that they achieve all their objectives, and then that's it. They don't make a big deal out of it. It's just what they do. And I kind of like that as a sort of like as a philosophy, as a culture, as a context for what we're trying to do. We don't need to brag about it. We don't need to talk about it. We just need to go do it. We just need to go do it. We can be quiet and then just kick your ass on Sunday and then just go home, have a drink, and then start all over on Monday. And that's it. You don't need all of this braggadociousness. You know? That's all you need. You know? You don't see the frogmen, talking about what they're going to do. They just get it done. You feel me? So, and I think that's a great way to be. So that was one great thing I think from the AG press conference. I like that. We're going to move in silence, and a lot of the beat writers were picking up on that. Here's some of the notes. I put this out. Oh, that's a little small. I put this out this morning. Some notes on Fields RPO. He kept saying that he's going to play quarterback. He made a point. AG made a point that Fields is going to play quarterback, which is interesting. Which means he may run maybe a little less than we're thinking, but he's still going to run. Let's be honest. Depth charts written in pencil. Just because Fields is quarterback one doesn't mean there won't be competition. Then he said the offense and defense is going to be built around the talent and personnel that we have. This is probably the best point he made the whole thing. We build around who we have, and I said, hooray! Now we got to see it implemented. A lot of coaches say that and then they don't do it. But let's see. I mean, it would be interesting to see, for example, a defensive strategy built around whoever it is that we wind up having. Are we going to be an attack front or a read front? Well, it depends. So more on that later. They addressed Brandon Stevens, why they picked him up and why they paid so much money. And he did acknowledge his weakness of not getting turnovers and not getting his head turned around. I mean, he acknowledged it. He said, yeah, we all know he does that, and we're going to coach him up to fix it. Okay, well, I hope so. But what you're saying is that the Baltimore Ravens coaches don't know what they're doing then, or at least they weren't able to get it out of him, but you're going to get it out of him. That's a lot of confidence, Mr. AG, but okay, well, let's see. Now, one of my favorite moments from the press conference actually was when somebody said, they started talking about Tanner Engstrand and the Goffense in Detroit, and won't this be an issue because we have a different kind of quarterback? And AG said, well, obviously you didn't see him in college where he ran different offenses. And so I kind of like that AG will scold our dopey beat reporters because they're so stupid. But you do have to be careful in a sense because, when you dunk on them, it feels good in the moment, and that's fun. But we all know they hold a grudge, and they're going to get you eventually. I forgot that Andre Cisco and Ife Melifonwu were college teammates. And Ife, college teammate of Andre Cisco, spoke glowingly of Cisco. So we signed Cisco. Interestingly, we did not sign Ife. who signed with the Dolphins. When he was talking about Josh Reynolds, he started talking about how good of a blocker he is. That was music to my ears. And as I told you guys, that's what it is. And if you want to have an explosive run game, then you need to block. And he said, one of the things we're going to say to the wide receivers is if you don't block, you don't get the rock. Boy, oh boy, music to my ears. If you don't block, you don't get the rock. I love it. Better block, everybody. Spoke highly of DJ Reed. Focused on getting younger. Indeed. Jordan Travis, they touched on Jordan Travis. He said, I'm not a doctor. I don't know when he'll play. So, uh, but if he can get on the field, he'll compete, he said. So, and that's fair. He's not a doctor. Um, Chooks, they did ask him, and I have to give the beat reporters credit for asking about Chooks Okorafor. Why did he leave the Patriots? How much of an investigation did the Jets do? And AG said they did a good amount of investigation. They spoke to the player, and he trusts the player. Felt comfortable with his answers, and he will compete. I still don't love this one, but we don't know what questions were asked and what answers were given, and we're not going to know until at least when the guys show up. The media might request Chooks to speak to them, and he might do so. And if so, then he's going to get that question, and then we'll see what Chooks has to say about it. But I still don't love that signing, no matter what. But on the other hand, I do trust AG. Garrett, does he spend time talking to Garrett Wilson? Yes, they've had a lot of good conversations. Talked about Sauce Gardner and the lack of interceptions, and he said he will work on getting more interceptions with the coaches. So that's good. We're going to focus on the extensions after the draft. We're going to use all three running backs as much as possible. All three, he said. Interestingly, they said Alan Lazard might be back. If he's on the team, we'll utilize him. It seems like a touchy issue because the Jets want him to take a pay cut, but you can't really say that publicly. It's not good PR. So we'll see what Lazard wants to do. They did give him permission to seek a trade, so I guess that didn't work out. We didn't trade him. But of course, if Rodgers signs with the Steelers, that could be a trade partner right there. The draft, tush push, blah blah blah. Quiet off season. It is by design. Huge believer in moving in silence. Doesn't need to be a lot of hoopla. He said. He said that the coaches need to teach and develop. Job one is teach. Job two is develop. So hopefully, maybe these coaches will be better at that than the ones we've had in the past. Jermaine Johnson, he knows he's working his ass off to get back to who he is. He's known him since the Senior Bowl. And that's about it for old AG. Let's get out of here for a second. Stop screen sharing. Sluggo likes to run. Yeah. Running all over team is way more humiliating. Yeah, of course, it's a more physical way to play. And I think with all these two high safeties that we're seeing in the league anyway, it seems like teams, if they don't realize it now, running is going to become even more important. So this is the way we're going, and we'll see how it works. But we have the quarterback to do it. We have the running backs to do it. We have 4/5 of a line to do it. We have some good blocking wide receivers to do it, especially if Lazard is still on the team. Because between Lazard and Reynolds, those are two good blocking wide receivers. We need to improve obviously the tight end room in terms of blocking and also get a right tackle. But yeah, and then if you establish that and the defense knows you can run even if they stack the box, then you're in a great place. They can load the box all they want. We're still going to run it for 4 or 5 yards. That's amazing because then you can do play action all day long and you probably get a lot of wide open receivers, which helps who? Justin Fields. I mean, if the guy's wide open, Fields can hit those guys. It's just some of these other kind of throws that he's not so great at. So the run game, if we can establish that in a great way against heavy boxes even, then that helps your passing game when you need that. And then you can be more balanced. So that's a beautiful thing. And that's what we're going to get this year, I think. So we'll see how it works out. Uh, if Sluggo too huge signing bonus, he should take cut. But if he didn't, he signed some kind of signing bonus. I don't know what he's going to do. The thing about him seeking a trade means he could talk to all the teams, his agent can. And so his agent was also obviously just gauging interest in the client, right? What if all 31 teams said no, thank you? Then he might not have a choice. I mean, if he gets cut, then he might have to take a minimal contract to get signed by somebody. He might have to take it, and he still would get some money from the Jets, of course, um, the guaranteed money. But and it might be better for him just to take half of what he's going to get this year in salary or whatever it may be, and that may be a better deal than what he could get on the open market. It reminds me of the old Jamison Crowder situation. Crowder took a pay cut because he knew if the Jets cut him, he couldn't make as much as they were going to cut him down to on the market. The agent knew that. So that's where we are. I wouldn't mind having him on the team and using him for certain situations. Wouldn't throw him too many passes because he drops too many, but we'll see how it works out. All right. So next news item. What else do we got on the docket here? Oh, the Jets are offering buyouts. Did you know this? Did you see this today? The Jets are offering buyouts. Now, this is something that I've been discussing for a long time. Listeners and viewers may remember. I was saying, what about the rest of the organization? You can get a new coach. You can get a new general manager. Okay, but what about all the people in the building? So, guess what? Woody said the same thing. Jets offer extensive buyouts seeking culture change. Here's Woody. Says here, this is the sportsbusinessjournal.com. Approximately 170 of the New York Jets' 250 employees must decide today, March the 31st, whether to accept a buyout offer issued earlier this month, a deal that would give the most senior employees more than 18 months of full salary and health insurance if they leave. The offer was sent to all non-contractual employees, sources said. There is no financial target in mind, and there will not be involuntary job cuts if fewer people take the buyout than hoped, a source close to the team said. Management's motivation is cultural. This is exactly what we've been talking about, not financial, sources said. And hoping that the offer causes workers to reflect on their long-term career goals, personal interests, and whether they fit with the franchises. This is exactly what we were talking about. The buyout follows a recently completed comprehensive study of the organization and growth priorities, a spokesperson said. Quote, the exercise has identified opportunities to operate, align, and innovate more effectively, the spokesperson said. As we position ourselves for this future growth, we felt it was essential to provide our employees with the opportunity to make an informed, autonomous decision about their careers given the direction of the company. Unlike many buyouts, there is no minimum threshold for years of service. So basically, the more years of service you have, the more of a buyout you get if you choose it. And it's unclear how many people fit in each one of these tiers. These are tiers of years of service to the company. The buyouts come after the Jets' ninth consecutive losing season and their 14th straight without a playoff appearance, the NFL's longest drought. In December, The Athletic wrote a lengthy article about the team's dysfunction and called the owner, Woody Johnson, the root of the problems. Despite the on-field futility and growing chorus of criticism, the Jets' business staff is generally well regarded around the NFL for maintaining attendance and growing sponsorship revenue despite the long winning drought. Today is the end of the Jets and the NFL's fiscal year. So this is exactly what we've been talking about. And now they're not firing people. They're just saying, listen, this is where we're going. If you don't want to be here, please leave. Get the hell out. But we're giving you lots of money to make it an easy transition, basically. And you can keep your health insurance and all that good stuff. So I think this is a step in the right direction. There was another article similar to this that came out later about Woody Johnson's reaction to the getting an F on the NFLPA scorecard for the facilities, and he defended himself pretty well, I thought. Uh, let's look at that. Where do we have that? Where do we have that? Bookmarks. Uh, Here it is. Zach Rosenblatt, he's got it. So now the NFLPA, as we remember, gave us an F, and we were all pretty upset, including myself. And I was saying, man, how could we get the food wrong? We got a bad grade on the food. We got a bad grade on some of the facilities. We got a bad grade on all these things. And I was like, man, this is so easy to fix. I don't understand what he's doing. But then here's what he's saying. My first read is I think it's totally bogus. I thought this whole setup, the way it was done, is all, well, that's enough said on that. But we want to get better every day, he said, in every category. I want to be number one in everything. So this is exactly what you want the owner to actually say. All of our people do. We want to be number one like we are in girls flag football. Well, it's not, I don't know why he would bring that up, but okay. But he's saying he wants to be number one, so that's good. So if there's areas we can improve, and there's always areas we can improve, not because of this bogus report, we are going to do it. Relationship with the players is very, very important. This is exactly what we wanted him to say and to do. We want to make sure the players are involved now in whatever they want to comment on. Our committee of players. If they like souffle or fish or steak, they should tell us. If they're bored with the food or the way the place looks, let me know. I can't do anything if you don't tell me. We're going to have a lot better communication in terms of what they're looking at every day. If I was looking at the same thing every day, I might get bored too. But it is good. Our food is something I take a lot of pride in. So to get graded in a way that, and then he cuts off. This is the food I would want. It's the finest quality, best ingredients, no GMOs, the highest price for everything. The quality of our food is the best, he said. And I believe him. Why would he lie about that? What part of the survey is bogus? Somebody asked him. The whole thing. How they collected the information, who they collected it from. It's supposed to be a process where we have representatives and they have representatives, so we know it's an honest survey. And that was violated, in my opinion. So I'll leave it at that. But there's a lot of owners that looked at this survey and said, this is not fair. It's not balanced. It's not every player. It's not even representative of the players. So basically, they asked a lot of disgruntled players and they gave us bad grades. Probably asked Tony Adams, what do you think, Tony? And he said F minus to everything because they benched me, those bums. Yeah. If you ask the disgruntled people, they're going to give you bad grades. So I think this is actually really good news. This is actually what we kind of want the owner to do. So he's saying all the right things. If you think about the offseason that Woody's had, he's changed everything. Changed over the GM, the head coach, the coaching, the strength and conditioning, the mindset guy is changing. Dr. Corum. Now we're getting rid of as many people as want to leave the organization. All these people who've been there 30 years, 40 years, losers, get out. And then now he's talking about the food and the facilities, and he doesn't think that survey was an honest survey and that they serve all the best food you could possibly get. And as I said, it should be whatever the players want. And that's what he's saying. Whatever the players want, they should just tell us and we will give it to them. So whatever the new leadership team is going to be with this team, Justin will be part of it. Whoever the leaders are, Sauce, Garrett, better speak up and say, this is what we want. We want this, we want this, we want that. And Woody will give it to you, I think. And so that's good news. That's good news. So we'll see if it results in any more winning, but I think it's good news all around. Here's Antoine Staley talking about 6'7", that real G's move in silence like lasagna. All right, so what's next on the old docket? People talking about Archie Manning. No, buyouts mean, Phil, it's basically they're saying, uh, listen, they're saying they're giving the employees the choice, right? They're saying, look, if you want to leave, here's what you get. And you get depending on your service level, you get 18 months, you get 12 months of salary for doing nothing, for leaving. Basically, you could sit at home for 12 months and collect your salary and your health insurance, whatever it is, but it's your choice. So you get a package. Basically, it's like a severance package. You get basically a severance package. Goodbye. See you later. And then we got to refill your position. So it's quite a lot of money that Woody's going to have to pay out of pocket. He's got plenty of money. But the idea is, look, if you don't fit into our culture anymore, if you're bored here, if you're a negative Nelly, if you're just an idiot, we just get out of here. Do something else. If you don't fit, get out. And that's a good thing. We don't want those people here. All right. Okay, so no more comments about that. We'll move on to the next item on the docket. We got, the media worry point. So now the thing, this is about the media. The newest thing, let me see if I saved something that illustrates this one. So the newest thing, yeah, here it is, that you're going to hear about from all the beat reporters has to do with the extensions, and you've seen it already. Where here's Connor Hughes talking about it. He's been banging this drum. So it's going to be Connor Hughes. It's going to be Zach Rosenblatt. It's going to be Dick Chimney. It's going to be, and then it's going to be the other guys who never break anything. Costello, Vasquez, those guys. And here's Connor Hughes talking about it. It's not happening yet. That's fine. The Jets want to get through the draft first. Once they do, GM Darren Mougey said they'll talk to representatives of Sauce and Garrett about contract extensions. Those conversations shouldn't take long. Neither should whatever process follows. The Jets' goal, find good young players, then keep those good young players. Gardner and Wilson aren't good. They're great. Take care of them now. So this is going to be a point that the beat is going to be hammering over the next from now until September. Basically 5 months. So you got to be aware of this. Why are they doing this? Because they can't criticize AG yet, right? He hasn't done anything. They can't really criticize the team in terms of wins and losses because we haven't played. It's a new regime. They got nothing to criticize. We got and you have to understand that the worried Jets fan, the worried Jets fan has to be the most lucrative customer in the world. I mean, they love to make you worried. Jets fans, we're very passionate, obviously. We love our team. But if we're worried about something, and somebody writes an article about it, we're going to click it. It's clickbait all day long. So to make the Jet fan worried and then click on your stuff, whether it's a video or an article, that is like a gold mine for these people. So I'm bringing it up because we got 14 people. According to Restream, I see 14 people watching this right now. So to me, you 14 people are like the elite video watchers out there because you're going to get great information from old Frankie. What I'm telling you is don't worry about it. The beat reporters are going to want to make you worry about it so that they can monetize you. What I'm telling you is Mougey will get it done. He'll get it done. What time he'll get it done, what timing it is, I don't know. But don't worry about it, and don't let these stupid freaking beat writers make you feel nervous or worried that we're not going to sign Sauce, we're not going to sign Garrett, we're not going to sign Breeze, we're not going to sign Jermaine, we're not going to. What about AVT? What about Simpson? What about Tipman? What about this one? And what about that one? Don't worry about it. Let's let Mougey cook, okay? I mean, once Mougey gets going, if he starts making dumb mistakes or whatever, then we can criticize him. But now's not the time. The only reason they're bringing this up now is because they got nothing else to talk about. No other way to make you worried. I mean, they could go on and on about the team doesn't have a top-notch roster at the moment, but that doesn't really sell. There's no sizzle there. But having these good young players that Connor and the other ones know that the Jet fans love, They know we love Sauce and we love Garrett and we love Brees and we love Jermaine and we love ABT and we love John Simpson. We love all these people. So how can we sort of stick the needle in and twist it around and make the Jet fan worry about these young players that we all love? Well, maybe we won't sign them. Ha ha! There's the point. So it's a tactic. It's a tactic that they use. So, like I said, we got now 16 people in the room according to Restream. I don't know if that number is right, but that's what it's telling me. So you guys, you guys are obviously elite. You're elite video watchers. You're not just regular old video watchers. You're watching Frankie. Frankie tell you the truth. And that's the truth. So please do not worry so much about these contracts. They'll get done. Mougey's not an idiot. AG's not an idiot. These will get done when they get done. Okay? Enough about that. What else do we got going on? Woody Johnson. All right, let's switch it up. A little baseball. You guys see this? The Yankees are using new bats. What about this? A little baseball on the Frankie Sports Programming Network. It doesn't have to be New York Jets all the time. What about the Yankees? Well, did you hear about these torpedo bats? Torpedo bats are all anybody's talking about. The Yankees invented a new sort of bat. It's called a torpedo bat. And the fascinating thing about this is that the analytics department of the Yankees came up with this idea, and then they manufactured, based on the idea, a new type of bat, and then the guys tried them out and they liked them. And now the Yankees scored all sorts of runs against the Brewers over the weekend, the first series, scored like 32 runs in 3 games or something. And now all anybody wants to talk about is the torpedo bats. Now, the interesting thing is Aaron Judge is on fire, probably the best player in baseball right now. But Aaron Judge does not use the torpedo bat, interestingly enough. Now, they are not illegal. They're entirely legal. It says right here, Yahoo Sports, this is sort of like a roundup. One of the talking points to come out of the Yankees' offensive explosion in the opening series against the Brewers was their torpedo bats. The oddly shaped bats were designed to put more wood in the sweet spot where players make contact when hitting the baseball. Despite some conspiracy theories, the bats are entirely legal. And just how much of the Yankees' outburst was due to them is up for debate. They certainly don't seem to be hurting, though, says Jake Mintz. Chris Kirschner of the New York Times says, as for the Yankees' opponents this week, and the Brewers, for the most part, had no qualms about the bats. Manager Pat Murphy even said, "It ain't the wand, it's the magician." Ah. It's worth noting that Aaron Judge was responsible for 4 of the home runs this weekend, and he isn't using the bat design. Brian Hoke, MLB.com, said, bat aided or not, the Yankees made some history over the weekend. Following their franchise record-setting 9 home runs on Saturday, the Yankees launched 4 more on Sunday, put them on 15 for the season. That mark is tied with the 2006 Tigers for the most a team has ever hit in their first 3 games of the season. New York Post Andrew Crane said, on the other hand, the Yankee defense has not looked too hot so far. In Saturday's win, the team combined to commit 5 errors. Considering what happened in the season-ending loss Game 5 of last year's World Series, it's certainly worth keeping an eye on how the defense performs. So there you go. They're going to talk about torpedo bats and so forth and so on. But, and it's very interesting because what I would hope is that this story becoming such a big story is that some of the teams, including the Jets, could look at this and say, well, wow, look at what our analytics group can do. They can look at data and then come up with an idea for an actual manufacturing of a product that the guys will actually use and maybe actually works. And so I'm not sure there's an equivalent to what you could manufacture in the NFL. I mean, maybe it'd be a part of the equipment or, a safety thing or something. But it's just an interesting story that the analytics department actually contributed more than just spreadsheets and numbers and databases, to the game. And I think that's kind of interesting. All right. That's the Yankee portion of our show. Aaron Judge, yeah, man. Now, no, the bats are not corked, Harlan. They're just oddly shaped. They manufactured them differently. They're perfectly legal, everyone's saying. Cork bats, of course, are not legal. Uh, yeah, Judge is a fascinating athlete, isn't he? Um, oh, he's a fascinating athlete. And, basically, only thing he needs to do, he's kind of like Lamar Jackson, if you think about it. What do you mean he's kind of like Lamar? Well, um, why isn't this working? Well, he's done everything. Oh, man. All right, I'm trying to get into this thing here. He's done everything you could ask for from a baseball player, except hit in the playoffs. So he needs to start performing in the playoffs. But other than that, uh, why isn't this letting me log in? Just want to log in to my account. Oh, I see. So we'll see if Judge is able to do it in the playoffs if they make the playoffs this year. Uh, no guarantee that. Man, I've never had a login so ridiculous. Why is this taking me here? This is annoying me. All right. For God's sake, man. Geez, here it is. All right. So, yeah, so that's where you go. Aaron Judge, certainly an all-time great Hall of Famer, all-time great Yankee. We'll see if he's able to put any championships onto the resume. All right, so that's that. What about? So two things. I got a question, and Sluggo, I'm glad you're in the room. Sluggo and others, what do you know about the sniffer role in football? So I'm thinking about putting together some resources, some information. Let me just show this. So you may be wondering, Frankie, I'm thinking about spending my $5 a month on that inner circle, but I'm not sure what I get out of it. While you guys are thinking about the sniffer role. But so what are the type of things that you get? Well, look at this. You get, because I often say, well, you get all kind of documents. What kind of documents, for example, do you get? Well, you get a list of the 30 visits. You get the roster. You get NFL league documents. You want to know what the rules are? Here's the rule book. What about the club proposals for changing the rules? We got that. What about UFL game books? We got those. Every UFL game that's played this year, we're going to have the game books. We're going to build some resources around the sniffer, for example, and around RPO offenses and all different kinds of offenses, as you can see here. And we're just starting to build this. This is something I stole from Coach Tube over there. This is not me, but this is just one example. We're going to build out more and more resources, and that's why I want to know if you know anything about the sniffer role in football, particularly Sluggo or anybody else about that. Now, you also get other things like music. You can get the Frankie from Flatbush theme song. You can get the Gangrene Blues song. We'll probably add more songs along the way, but you get some music. You get some playbooks. These are actual NFL playbooks. Kyle Shanahan, you ever hear of him? He a coach. Sean McVay, you ever hear of him? He a coach. So, you get to get these playbooks with handwritten notes on them and stuff like that. So, we got a bunch of these playbooks. They're actual NFL playbooks, in case you're interested in that. We got scouting. We got all these scouting sheets, grading sheets for every position: defensive back, defensive line, linebacker, O line, quarterback, and so forth and so on. So those are some of the things that you get if you join the Inner Circle, $5 a month, including then you get emojis, you get articles that I write on the community tab, you get all sorts of stuff. Um, for that. Sniffer. Oh, even so, Sluggo doesn't know anything about it. That's surprising. Well, and I guess nobody else is saying anything. Well, I guess, and it's going to become important. I'm obviously doing a lot of research on the RPO offense now because I think that's what we're going to be running. And I want to know more about it. I know the general things, the obvious things, but the sniffer position, the sniffer role, is very important in an RPO offense. And it may just be that, let's go back to P Cloud. It may just be that a man none of us has thought too much about this named where is he? Andrew Beck right here. So, on our roster we have this guy named Andrew Beck that we signed. Tight end, fullback, and nobody really made a big deal when we signed him. It was sort of a minor signing, and Mougey knew him from Denver, so everybody said, "Oh, some guy Mougey knows. Who cares?" Well, I believe that Andrew Beck, and if he sticks on the roster, or if we get somebody better than him quality-wise, could be the sniffer. I think Beck is the sniffer, and so it ties into that signing that nobody's talking about. And if that's going to play a big role in our offense, then a guy like Andrew Beck or somebody better than him, if we get one, will be a very key person as to whether this damn thing will succeed or not. It's a very important role. All right, so obviously nobody really seems to know much about it, including Sluggo. So that means I'll put together some educational resources then, and I'll probably do a few videos about it. Very important role. All right. That's the sniffer. Well, one question has been, and then after this, we'll just open it up for the chat and see if there's anything else you guys want to talk about. There's been some discussion about what do we do on draft night? Should Frankie do a live stream? Should I go live? What should happen? What should we do? Well, one of the things I thought is maybe we'll do, maybe I will go live. It's a high frequency event, a lot of hype around the draft. So maybe I'll go live, but maybe I'll keep track of what happens, the picks with a Trello board like this. So here I have the top 32 players. I just have a few pictures, and then whoever picks one. So the first pick goes off the board. Let's say it's Cam Ward. He goes number one, and then we just go, okay, Cam Ward went number one, quarterback, Tennessee Titans. Boom. Right? And then we know that's what that is. And now we have all these people that are still available here. And let's say number two comes up, and it's going to be, is it Shador? Is it Carter? Is it Hunter? Maybe it's Hunter. So Travis Hunter goes. All right. So then number two, Travis Hunter goes to the Cleveland Browns. And so forth and so on. And maybe that's how we keep track of these rounds during the draft. So let me know if you think that's a good idea, if you would watch that. If you want Frankie to do a live stream, let me know in the chat. Sluggo says Is that a Duke football? This is a Wilson, so I believe this is an NFL football. The NFL football is known as the Duke because of Wellington Mara, of course. I believe it is. Of course, you don't see the lines. A lot of these times when you get a picture of a football out of wherever, it's usually a college football with the lines on it. But the NFL football, of course, does not have lines. Carter's a stud, yeah. It's going to be an interesting draft because it seems like Cam Ward's certainly going one, right? But then from there, nobody knows. Shador Sanders could go second, he could go third, or he could go in the second round. Like nobody knows with these people. Um, but it certainly seems like for the Jets, we're going to get one of Mason Graham, Will Campbell, Armand Membu, or Tyler Warren. Seems like one of those four players will be a Jet. And I'm pretty happy with all those choices. So Phil says yes to Frankie draft live stream. I think I'm going to do it, Phil. I think I'm going to do it. And we'll just, the problem is people are going to be spoiling it. They're going to be watching on TV. I'll be watching on the computer. And of course, there's a delay. Sluggo says, I'll come on board. All right. I think what I'm going to do then, maybe I'll take a vacation day on Friday, right? Because the draft is on Thursday, right? So maybe I will take a vacation day Friday because it's going to be a long night also. I got to come on about 7, right? Or so. Then they start picking around 8. And then that thing lasts until what? Midnight, 1 a.m.? It's not over until? That's a long live stream, man. So maybe if I have maybe if I can sleep in the next day, maybe that's the way to do it. I'll just take that Friday off, right? And then come back. Maybe I'll come back even Friday, but I don't think I would do Saturday. I mean, that's a little crazy. Maybe I'll do day 1 and day 2. And those are going to be our impact players anyways, And we'll just keep track of it on this Trello board, and then for future reference, I'll always have a Trello board full of the draft picks. So then there's something. All right. So that wraps up the docket, I think. Let me know if there's anything else you want to talk about in the chat room chit chat section of the program. Do I have a chat room chit chat section of the program? I have this. Remember, super chats and super thanks are now available to be used. If you like, if you don't want to join the inner circle where you get all of those benefits that I just outlined, but you can also use super chat and super thanks to support the show. And support is always appreciated. The more support we have, the better off we'll be. Something I've been thinking about lately is also draft starts at 1 a.m. in the UK. Oh boy, Phil. Well, you gotta take off. Or are you retired, Phil? Did you retire from the place that made the thing for the Back to the Future car? I don't know. But I mean, if you're retired, then you just got to sleep during the day and then wake up at night because you can't miss the draft. I mean, come on. But one thing I've been thinking about as we get more and more subscribers, we're up to about 625 on this channel. At some point in time, probably as we get toward 1,000, I'm telling you, BetUS is going to come for old Frankie, and it's going to be a moral dilemma. What do I do? Do I take the money or stick to my conscience? Because I'm not really big on the gambling. I don't like telling people to gamble. If you want to gamble, that's up to you. Oh, Phil Adams been retired since 2006. What the hell? That's almost 20 years, Phil. Damn, good for you. Well, then it's no problem. You got to just sleep during the day, get up when it's time to get up. I mean, if you're retired, nobody can tell you what the hell to do. That's the beauty of retirement. But like eventually, BetUS is going to come for this channel. They're going to want to sponsor it. Seems like they sponsor everybody's channel. Now we're too small right now. We're a tiny little channel. But eventually, you know, wings and pizza always on draft night. I tell you who has surprisingly good wings is Wingstop. I recently tried the Wingstop wings, the atomic setting on the wings. That's hot. And they also have good fries. But I wouldn't say wings and pizza. I mean, you could go wings and pizza. There's nothing wrong with that. But so the answer to the Bet US conundrum is how many people will be in the inner circle at that time? If we have enough people in the inner circle, then I could tell Bet US to go screw themselves. But if we don't, I'm gonna be tempted. I'm gonna be tempted. All right, so let me know if there's any other topics of choice. Oops, we don't want that. Topics of choice. Otherwise, I'll check the Twitter for any late breaking news. Uh, no, no, no. There's going to be betting on these rules changes tomorrow, so we'll see about the pushy tushy. We'll see about some of these rules changes probably tomorrow. John Kaminsky has announced his retirement. So if you were wondering, like me, why we didn't sign John Kaminsky, defensive tackle, defensive end, John Kaminsky, formerly of the Lions, he has announced his retirement, his medical retirement, basically. And it doesn't look like there's very much more news from when we came on the air. We'll have more news tomorrow about these rule changes. The one rule change that did get approved is the NFL owners passed a resolution allowing the league to flex Sunday night games to Thursday night with 21 days notice instead of 28 days notice, which is bad, which is good for everyone except the people who booked their travel to the original Sunday game. Those people get screwed, but everybody else, good for them. Punter news, the Bills have agreed to terms with former Bengals punter Brad Robbins, sources say. Jameis Winston officially signed his contract. The Giants re-signed Ty Summers, so if you were looking for Ty Summers news, you got that. And that's about all right now. That's about all right now. Booby dooby dooby doo. Oh, the Giants. So Connor Hughes has a story about the Giants perhaps not picking a quarterback in the first round this year. It's really hard for me to understand how they could not pick a first round quarterback. So that's confusing to me. How are they going to sell ownership on Wilson, Winston, and nobody in the wings? Wilson, Winston, and wait till 26. I don't get it. But it seems like either it's a smokescreen or they're not really interested in Shador. But I don't know, man. Matthias Simon is here. Good to see Matthias arriving a little late. Sluggo says, where I live, we have a little bar called The Terrace, and they have the best wings ever. Unique taste. Ah. Well, the nice thing about the Wingstop wings I noticed when I ordered them this last weekend, you can have a range of flavors and heat settings. They basically go by how hot do you want them, and I always want them as hot as possible. So I got the atomic ones, and man, they were good. Usually, when you get a really hot, whatever it is, hot chicken, it's not hot enough, but these were. So I got to give it to them. And they had like 20 different flavors that you could get. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Matthias says, anyone seen Dakota? I don't know. Put out a missing persons alert, Matthias. Put out a APB. Matthias says, I wouldn't draft Sanders that high. Yeah, but I mean, they got nothing, Matthias. How are you going to sell ownership on Winston and Wilson? And I mean, Remember, Shane and Dayball are on the hot seat. They got to have at least a plan to get better. How is Russell Wilson, going to make you better? I mean, and the funny thing is, I bet you Daniel Jones beats out Anthony Richardson for that starting job in Indy. There was news this week that said Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis are going to go 50-50 on the snaps in camp. So basically an open competition for the starting quarterback job. I bet you Daniel Jones wins that job. So now you're going to have Daniel Jones starting in Indy. What if he starts playing well? And then you got Russell Wilson with his moon balls and everything else that we saw with he's been declining for several years. And you don't take a quarterback high, then what are you going to do? Well, how are you going to sell John? I mean, you just going to say, okay, fire us? I mean, like if they take Sanders, because here's the thing. Let's say they take Sanders, even if they don't 100% believe in him. If things start to go south this year, they say, wait. We got Sanders in the wings. We're developing him, John Mara. Hang on. Okay, it's going to be a down year. Don't worry. We got Sanders in the wings. So that way he lets you keep your jobs. That's what I don't understand. And if you're going to say, well, we'll just wait and get one later. I mean, Jackson Dart's going to be gone probably, and then everyone else after that, it's it's very unlikely that they're going to be good. I mean, what are you going to sell Tyler Shuck to management? I mean, it seems to me they have to take Sanders. They box themselves into a corner. By winning that last game there, that really kind of screwed them. You know, because the guy they probably want is Ward, but they can't get him. Titans are going to keep that pick. It seems like. I mean, maybe they just move heaven and earth to go up to one. But then I don't see that from Tennessee's point. I think Tennessee wants Ward. Yeah, but Matthias, you have to look at it from their point of view, right? Like they can't think we're going to be fired. They have to have a plan. What are they going to do? Yeah, it's confusing me. Now maybe they take Kyle McCord or Will Howard and they sell management. Well, we got this Will Howard guy, something like that. But I don't know. The best thing, well, it depends how you look at it. One of the best things for us would be Ward goes 1, Sanders goes 2, Dart goes 3. Because then we're getting a really good player. But the only problem with that is then probably Carter. Well, then definitely Carter or Hunter's going to New England. I mean, New England's getting a really good player at Phil. I mean, we can't. I mean, that's just the way it is. They're going to get Hunter or Carter or an offensive lineman. And no matter what happens, they're going to get a good guy, a really good guy. That's just the way it is. But if those 3 quarterbacks go, then we'll really be in the driver's seat as far as what we need. Yeah, I don't think so, Harlan. I mean, they obviously need O linemen, but the focus for them has been quarterback, and it's hard to sell. I mean, John Mara has to be hopping mad with these people. Don't forget what happened with them. They let Saquon Barkley leave to keep Daniel Jones, only to cut him during the season. Jones. I mean, that is amazing. I don't know how they kept their jobs after that. How in the world? So now you're going to sell the fan base and the Mara family on Wilson and Winston? I mean, come on. They did sign a bunch of offensive linemen in the offseason. They signed Stinney and Greg Van Roten. And, they have guys coming back from injury. What's Evan Neal going to be? They got the left tackle in place, but he gets injured too much. I mean, their center stinks, but there's no centers in this draft at all. probably play Greg Van Roten at center. I mean, they got a lot of problems, but they need the quarterback. Like to me, I would think they need a story to sell management. They need a story to sell John Mara. Like we got our stopgap with Wilson and Winston, and we got our future where we're going to develop in the background for 26 and 27. Don't you worry, Mr. Mara. And that way, they get to keep their jobs for a couple of more seasons at least. And then if the young guy turns out to be good, then they're on their way. But I just don't know how you sell Mara on we're going to stink again with Wilson and then we'll get our guy in 26. I mean, how much patience does John Mara really have? How much patience does John Mara have? I mean, he has to be hopping mad at these guys. Do you remember Hard Knocks? Do you guys remember what he was saying in Hard Knocks? He was saying he would go into Joe Shane's office and say, "If we lose Saquon, I'm not going to be able to sleep at night." He was saying. And then they not only lost Saquon, they lost him to the Eagles. And not only that, he had an all-time great season. And not only that, they won the Super Bowl. I mean, it couldn't be worse for John Mara. And now you're going to say, "Oh, we're gonna stink it up with Wilson, and we're going to let him throw his moon balls up to Malik Neighbors to keep everybody entertained, and we're going to get our quarterback, our long-term quarterback, next year." I just don't think John Mara is going to go for that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe Mara has infinite patience. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what he sees in these guys. What exactly has Brian Daboll done that doesn't have something associated with Josh Allen? Exactly. He came there. Brian Daboll came there, and everybody said, "Well, but Daboll's going to do great for the Giants because they have Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones has a lot of the same qualities as Josh Allen. He's big. He has a big arm. He can run. Daboll's going to work the same magic that he worked with Josh Allen." Well, guess what? There was no magic. It was just Josh Allen. It's like the Patriot way. Guess what? There was no Patriot way. It was Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's defensive mind. That's the Patriot way. And when those guys aren't there, it collapses. And it was probably more Brady than Belichick, but we all know Belichick's a great defensive coach. But and it's the same thing with this. Daboll gets zero credit for Josh Allen, zero, because Daboll left and Josh Allen took it to another level with these other coaches. And Daboll went to the Giants and did nothing at all, except flukily make the playoffs one year, and then, one of the most fraudulent teams. They got to play the two fraudulent teams that year. The Giants and the Vikings got to play each other, and the Giants happened to win. Oh, he got one playoff win, and that's what he's riding on. One playoff win. Wow. And everything after that's been terrible, and he runs around like a hothead yelling at everybody. I mean, what do people see in this guy exactly? I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Sluggo remembers when the Giants really sucked in the late 60s and 70s. Well, I don't remember back then. That was before I was born, Sluggo, so I can't say I remember that. When I was coming up, the Giants were awesome. They had Lawrence Taylor, they had Phil Simms, they had all those teams, Mark Bavaro, all those teams, and they were incredible. And we were sometimes okay-ish with Kenny O'Brien. Man, I love those Jet teams. Freeman McNeil, the Sack Exchange, Wesley Walker, Al Toon. Oh, boy. Those were the days. All right. Well, I guess you guys don't have much else to say, so we'll call it a night. Thanks for joining Monday News Live. We'll probably come back tomorrow with Tuesday News Live, a Tuesday News Day. Imagine that. And, so thanks for joining. If you're new or watching this later, consider subscribing. We're trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers. Got a long way to go for that. If not, just give a thumbs up on the video. I'd appreciate that. It helps with the algorithm. And also leave a comment on the video. You can leave a comment. That helps. Even if the comment is, "Hi, Frankie," it helps with the algorithm. Might as well. And consider joining the Inner Circle. I showed some examples of things you get earlier in the video. Lots of stuff you can get. $5 a month. Helps the channel. Helps support El Francorino. And with that being said, I'll see you next time.